Top of the morning, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Jack REISS. Of course, Jack REISS is famous or infamous for to witness and to be a part of the quote-unquote long count, or the rise from Lazarus, or a rise like Lazarus, like Tyson Fury did in the 12th round. And he did an all-exclusive interview on what happened before the fight, during the fight, and the aftermath, and he explains everything to the T, okay? Now, I'm going to let you guys listen to this interview with Jack REISS, and I will counterpunch as we go, okay? So, let's start to listen to Jack REISS.
Especially being that it was a really legitimate heavyweight fight, and the first one that it's been in California for 21 years at that time. I had refereed Deontay Wilder 4 times prior to this fight, so I was quite familiar with Wilder. I hadn't refereed Fury, but I'd watched his fights, so it was pretty easy for me to go back and rewatch his fights to look for tendencies and to see what I was going to be dealing with. You could cut the tension with a knife. It is the most awesome feeling that you can imagine, that these two giants are about to get it on, and all these people are there, you know, in anticipation of what's going to happen. And I genuinely felt at the time they didn't like each other, and I just thought it was going to be a great fight.
So, Jack REISS, he has refereed Deontay Wilder 4 times. He never with Fury, but he went back to watch his fights to see what his tendencies were. Okay, that lets you know already we're dealing with an experienced referee. Because a lot of times these referees don't know anything about this fighter. They give these fighters instructions, but they don't know this fighter's habits, his body language. We don't know what the things that his temperament. They don't know. He doesn't know anything about him. But he did go back and look at Tyson Fury because he doesn't know anything about him. So anyway, let's go on.
I didn't expect it to go to distance, and I was very pleasantly surprised that Tyson Fury was able to box and move the way he did. It amazed me how he could slip and bob a guy 6'9", 256, and he kept it up for 12 rounds. I was amazed. I saw it a little bit differently than what the judges did. During those first 4 rounds, I believe the judges gave most of those 4 rounds to Tyson Fury for his boxing, but I was looking at it as if Deontay was the effective aggressor. He was the one controlling where to fight in the ring and walking Tyson down, landing some jabs and landing some good shots. I really felt it was the other way around.
Wow. Now, Jack REISS, a lot of people thought that Fury just won rounds 1 through 4. Jack REISS was the only person in the ring. He was the closest person in the ring, and he had a totally different perception. Okay, his perception was, hey, Deontay Wilder's winning some of these rounds too. He's, like he said, he's keeping a mental note. He thinks a lot of people thought that. He said, well, Deontay was the effective aggressor. He thought was landing some good shots, landing some jabs, right? And that lets you know that, first of all, if he was biased, he wouldn't have thought that at all. Because a biased person, they view things only one-sided. They only see what the person that they're biased towards does to the other person versus the other way around, okay? If you have Tyson Fury and he was landing these punches and you was looking that, oh man, look at what Tyson Fury did, but you have no regards to what the other fighter's done, you know, as an answer to that, you're biased. You're just looking one way. You're looking to see what damage this one fighter that I like or I care about or I am a fan of doing to the other fighter. Okay, you're watching that fight one way, and a lot of people do that. You know, a lot of people can't see what's going on with back and forth. They're just looking at forth. Oh, look at him. Just like there's a lot of commentators see a left hook by the other fighter, they'll swear, oh, look at the left hook by Golovkin. Well, Golovkin got hit. Golovkin didn't land a left hook. You know what I mean? So that just shows the biasness of it, but this clearly shows the unbiased of it because he was looking at both fighters, you know? So again, he had no like preference of who he thought was winning. He saw it the way he saw it, okay? So that was a surprise to me, like it'll be a surprise to a lot of people, okay? So let's move on.
I'm not scoring it per se, but I'm keeping a mental note of what I feel is happening, who's winning, who's losing, for the sole purpose of if it's totally one-sided, lopsided, I start worrying and wondering if I have to pull this guy out of a fight, the losing fighter out of a fight. In this case, this fight was so close, I didn't have that worry at all. I knew it was close, I didn't know who was ahead. Let me just back up and say this, any championship referee will tell you this. 9, 10, 11, and 12, the championship rounds, things happen. So when those rounds come, I don't know how to say I'm more focused, but I'm even hyper-focused on those 4 rounds. I told both of them the exact same thing. I said, I'm going to give you every opportunity to get up and prove to me that you are able to physically and intelligently defend yourself. I was very pleased with my role in the fight in many different ways. You guys didn't see me except twice in the whole fight. Nobody spoke about me except twice in the fight, the 9th round knockdown and the 12th round knockdown. So I did my job and stayed away. And obviously what happened in that 12th round, that he got up and responded the way he did, demonstrates that the decision I was made was correct. So I'm really happy. I think it was the best decision I've ever made in a boxing match to this date, for myself anyway. It's a multitude of reasons on why I didn't think it was over at that time. I want to just let everybody know I was a fireman for 31 years with the Los Angeles Fire Department. I was an EMT, emergency medical technician, and I was a captain on a paramedic engine for 20 years. So we went to trauma all the times. Car accidents, shootings, stabbings, beatings. I'm very familiar with trauma, plus being a referee for 21 years. I'm comfortable with trauma, and what I'm really comfortable with is reading body language. So when he went down, that was a devastating shot. He got hit with 2 beautiful shots and fell flat on his back. When I asked Wilder to go to the corner and I picked up the count, when I turned back around, one of the things I instinctually noticed was that Tyson's right foot was up. And it wasn't caught under his left foot. It was up. He was holding it up on his own, which told me he's probably not out if he's holding his foot up. And I was always taught also, count a champion out. Give them the benefit of the doubt. You know, people want to see a definitive ending, count them out. So I scooted in to see what I got, and as I was coming in, I don't know if you're going to be able to pick this up on camera, but Tyson was laying flat on his back, and as I came in, he went like this. So he acknowledged he was awake. He looked at me when I was coming towards him. So then I got in, went over him, so because it was loud, and I got right over him, and I was giving him counting out the numbers, and I was giving him the numbers with my hands at the same time so he wouldn't be confused.
Wow. Look, I'm just hearing this whole interview, right? So this is the first time I've heard this. I did not know Jack REISS was an EMT. I did not know he was a fireman. I knew he was a ref. That's all you know. I think a lot of refs, they have a vital position, okay? They have one of the best or the most important jobs in the fight. They referee the fight. And those key points are not excuses. This obviously comes from experience. He just gave you his resume, verbatim. I was a fireman, I was an EMT, and I was a judge. I mean, a referee. So you have Jack REISS saying all the things. Hey, his right leg was up. That was a sign that he was holding it by itself. People just don't, fall back. And the way he was flat on his back, his leg should have been toppled over, or he was, straight down. So that was the first indication. The second indication, Tyson Fury looked over at him. Okay, as you guys heard. If you didn't hear that, you heard it from me. He looked over at him when he was flat on his back. So he's decided to keep count. And Jack REISS, like I know Jack REISS, Jack REISS is a person, he will give you. You count a fighter out. If you're an experienced referee, you count him out. Okay? And it was loud, so he counted them out. He made sure that that person, first of all, could hear what number that he was counting, so it won't be any confusion, because there was a lot of chaos in there, people. Because it was everybody, look, the energy was high. Deontay Wilder landed those punches that he'd been trying to land all night. Okay? He gave him a little taste in the 9th round, but he really landed the shots that he wanted to land in the 12th. Okay? So everybody that was either the Wilder fans or the people that were supporting Wilder that are just looking for a knockout got what they were looking for, so they thought. Okay? He counted out, and on top of that, he said it was the best decision that he's ever made as a referee. And I got to agree. Why? Because what happened when he got up? Let's listen.
Two things happened. When I got to about 5, her eyes weren't totally open, but when I got to 5, he popped his eyes wide open. So I thought he's back. And then when I started counting, I was thinking, I don't know if he's going to beat the count, but we'll see. Stuff like that was going through my head. I just kept counting, and he was up by 9. Right at 9, he was up. I said, "Are you okay?" He looked at me and he said, "Yes." I said, "Do you want to continue?" He looked at me and he said, "Yes." And because of it was a 12th round of a heavyweight fight. These guys were strong men and big men, and the devastating knockdown, I said, "Walk to the right 3 steps and come back to me." And he was in full control of his body. He actually did a little bit of a bounce step and came back to me. And then I just held him, turned to make sure that Wilder was still in his corner, and said, "Fight." In the old days, we used to make them walk forward to see how their gait is and if they have full control of their body. But the ringside physicians taught us that any drunk could stagger 2-3 steps forward. You got to make them, to see if they have control of their body, you got to make them walk to the right or left, because it's very hard for them to navigate turning. And that's what we do. And after...
Wow. Now, when he got up, I do remember that it was nostalgic. Not only did he go to the left, he did kind of do a little dance. He hurried over there and hurried back to let him know, hey, I still got my feet up under me. I can still do what I need to do. And that is a good point. I didn't think about that. I didn't even know that myself. The physicians taught them that. Any drunk could stagger forward, and that's true. If you've been a bartender, you've been a server, you've been any kind of a casino, any kind of a job that people drink. Some people do drink too much, and then they get drunk. And a lot of people, they can make them way some way. A lot of times they don't even know how they made it. You got to tell them. You don't remember what you did last night? No. So there you go. So that is a good reason why they do go side to side. But let's go.
After that, because he had just been knocked down so hard, I closed my distance. I changed my distance and stay a lot closer, because it's normal for the fighter who knocked the other guy down to come in for the kill. And if he can make it out of those next 20 to 30 seconds, that would be great. And that's exactly what Tyson did. He survived those next 20 seconds when Deontay came in to finish him, and he wrapped him up, he held, he moved away a little bit, which was perfect. And then, as everybody saw, after that first 20 seconds after the knockdown, he came back, and I believe he won the rest of that round. My take on it is, boxing isn't what it was in the 1900s, where you could hit a guy as soon as his hand comes up off the ground, and we had a lot more deaths. Like football now, there's no head-to-head contact with helmets. Hockey, they don't hit each other against the boards from behind anymore. And boxing's evolving like every other sport for safety. And it's a standard practice now, and it's in writing, that if you're not sure of a fighter's condition, you make him walk one way or another to assure that he can intelligently defend himself and carry his weight and protect himself. And my count itself was absolutely on the money. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I just happened to be pretty damn good that night. And he was up, as I was saying, 9. And as far as the long count or making him walk right or left, they just don't understand our job and our role. My biggest priority is safety. And I have to make sure, I'm about to let a tornado across the ring come at this guy. I got to make sure he can defend himself. And that's exactly what Wilder did. He came out like a tornado with those big bombs trying to knock him out. And the other side of it is, if he would have got hurt, I'd be the most unpopular guy in the world right now.
So, that's the interview of Jack REISS, his full account of what happened that night. There were a lot of key factors that he implemented. And for all the people, okay, my counterpunch through this whole thing, for all the people that thought that he gave him a long count, I'm going to say two things to you. First, the count was long, or Tyson Fury was knocked out, right? If he was knocked out, don't you think it would have been easier for Deontay Wilder to knock out Tyson Fury? Okay? So, if he was that hurt, because yeah, he got a hit. I mean, he got belted, okay? Now, when he got up to do the things that he did, and he not only did he win the rest of the round, he buckled Wilder. That could have changed. That happens all the time, too. A guy is in strong momentum, and he gets caught with a shot that he doesn't see. Just like Deontay Wilder did. That's why it's credit to Wilder that he does have a good chin. A lot of people think he doesn't. Anybody can get hurt in the heavyweight division. You know, but then again, we are looking at a fighter that doesn't or isn't known for the biggest punching power, and that's Tyson Fury. But Wilder got caught twice with punches that he did not see coming, okay? And it looked like he was bracing for it, but it hit him before he fully braced for the punch. And that was the right hand, followed by the left hook. Then Deontay stumbled, then he put his guard up because he was hurt himself, okay? And like Jack REISS, I'll agree, he won the rest of that round. Now, for anybody that thinks Jack REISS was on the take, bought, after listening to this, I think you want to believe that, and that's a lie, you know? And the other thing I want to tell you guys is that if you think Jack REISS had a slow count, and you have no problem with the count of the other Deontay Wilder fight with Ortiz, because a lot of people were saying, oh, that count was fast. And I didn't think it was fast at all. Just like I didn't think that fight was slow. Why? Because a referee counts the way the referee counts. You know? If you're a guy that counts faster, if you want to count a guy out faster, that's how you do it. But, you know, Jack REISS, obviously, he knows what he's doing. He's refereed a ton of fights. He knows this thing. He's experienced. He was licensed to know what to look for. And that's outside of the referee realm, to see how cognitive a person is, their body language, and so have you. So he knows what he's doing, and he was in full control. And look, the way that fight ended, nobody was seriously hurt. Okay, and he made the right decision if he was able to come back and do Wilder the way he did Wilder in the 12th round. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think about this full breakdown interview with Jack REISS. Of course, please subscribe, leave your comments below, and you guys been counterpunched. Peace.